Well, it's still Leadership Dialogue podcast on LJ Nigeria TV. Well, we're live on YouTube, Instagram, as well as Facebook. The handle remains at LJE Nigeria TV. But before we went on that break, we were having a conversation, which of course, we're narrowing down on the importance of youths. Leadership and of course youth presence in politics and electioneering processes in Nigeria. Well, my guest in the studio is still Dr. Ladan Salihu. He is the former chief of staff to the Bauchi State Governor, a former DG of the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, and also he is a political analyst, and most importantly, also he is the publicity secretary of the League of Northern Democrats. Well, thank you very much for that. Well, before we went on that break, we had the conversation on the importance of youth, but this time, about a few days ago, the whole media space had this prominent report on coalition. And in the center of this coalition are the northern groups, of which the League of Northern Democrats is a party to. Only on Sunday, we saw, the gathering of powerful political gladiators, including the former vice president of Nigeria, the former presidential candidate of the PDP, and the former presidential candidate also of Labour Party, as well as the former governor of Rivers State and several other political bigwigs. What exactly was that coalition for?
The coalition is in response to the current, situation of leadership and leadership challenges in Nigeria. It is in response to the deficits of leadership and the deficit of attitude to governance and the deficit of quality in governance and the deficit of inspiration. Uh, the coalition came about in order to stop the bleeding, the hemorrhage that is in our polity. It's something that cannot be allowed to continue.
And you believe the coalition is like a viable alternative
Oh yes,
to the tears of Nigeria?
it's more than an alternative. It is the most credible platform that is evolving to rescue Nigeria from the shortcomings that I have just mentioned.
In 2015, we had a similar coalition that brought about the All Progressives Congress, which eventually wrestled power from the then ruling People's Democratic Party. Do you think this coalition has what it takes to repeat or turn back the hands of time?
Absolutely. When you look at the challenges and the issues that are on the front burner in Nigerian politics, they don't even come near, they are so overwhelming compared to what happened in 2015 with the coalition that took out APC. It's a child's play. PDP, you mean DP, sorry. It's child's play compared to the kind of suffering and the agony that the nation is going through now. So this is even the time that it will seamlessly work to take out the APC government without any problem. Look, what happened in Abuja that you mentioned
Mm.
was mainly the northern group that came on board, to set the tone. You've not even seen, the southern group, and in that coalition you have who? You have former ministers of the current APC. You have, like you said, Atiku. You have Peter Obi. You have Rotimi Amechis of this world. You have, there are people that just can't wait for this thing to kick off. And why do we have a coalition that is now the talk of the town. It is because, like I said, this government has failed, is failing woefully.
When you say the government is failing or has failed woefully, well, a lot of people might want to argue with you because in the last few months, we have seen literally defections, mass defections from Delta, where you can see with the Akwa Ibom State governor, a lot of them are moving in drones to the All Progressives Congress. So if the All Progressives Congress leadership, or led by the president of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has failed Nigerians, why then are we having this mass defection?
You see, the Nigerians should not be worried about these defections. I am not worried because these defections do not necessarily address the challenges, the problems of poverty, the problems of insecurity, the problems of hunger and starvation in the land. People are defecting literally to where they believe they are running to cash in and get and be part of the loot before the time is over. There is nothing about this government, there's nothing about the APC-led government to celebrate that anybody in his truest sense in politics will move over to. Look,
But the likes of the Ojus Okalu, even with his pre-intent attire to the National Assembly, wholeheartedly made mention of how the current administration has been working impressively, to suture what the previous administration had done badly.
it's all in the process of politics and politicking. The voice of Esau and the hands of Jacob, or the voice of Jacob and the hands of Esau. There is nobody that is in his right senses. Probably there is, no, I believe there is a huge disconnect.
And where did the
between between those who are defecting with the reality of the true Nigerian situation? There is a huge disconnect. They do not necessarily seem to be on the same page with majority of Nigerians who believe that this government is not only failing, but they see the government as failing. Look, go to Katsina State, go to Zamfara State. There are local governments in this Nigeria of today that are being run 100% by bandits.
But the old president was in Katsina State about a month ago. He had a meeting with some notable leaders in Katsina State. And then he promised to, increase surveillance and also tighten security in Nigeria.
Yes.
Do you not see that as a well enough package?
No, there's so much rhetoric, there's so much noise about, and so many promises have been made even from the time of Buhari said he was going to get rid of banditry in 3 months. For 8 years he couldn't. At the time, Borno State, when Buhari got into power in 2015, Borno State had only 3 local governments under the control of Boko Haram. At the time he left, the local governments have quadrupled in number. When Zulum complained some weeks ago that Boko Haram is returning back and strong, the military authorities and the security services in Nigeria lampooned him literally. What we are seeing on the ground now is a validation of the cries he has made. Yes, President Bola Tinubu was in Katsina, but the people of Katsina, after he left, were up literally in protest against some of the things that happened. And across the state, across the next state, which is Zamfara, can you believe that an old man of about 90, with his grandchildren and his children, they were taken, more than 13 of them. 12 million naira was paid to bandits as ransom. They still went ahead and killed all of them. But you know what they did to the children? They got stones and and made those stones in a manner that you will do a bonfire to be read. And they took it on the soul of the young kids. They were wailing and crying and yelling until their yelling turned into a whimper, and they died one by one, the smaller children. So you have Nigerians across the border from Yobe to Borno down to Katsina and Zamfara and Sokoto, in Niger, Cameroon, and Chad Republic, more than 200,000 as refugees in those countries, as second-class citizens. And we are here celebrating and telling people that we are succeeding, and people are being killed. Our roads are unsafe, and people are running to a government that is presiding over all of this. Where is the humanity in us? So I don't believe that these defections will in any way change the trajectory, the mind, the thinking, the attitude of Nigerians when it comes to election. And you can keep this clip for an evidence. The way and manner Nigeria is going, to me, is not even about the government. No, it's about the attitude of the government and the way and manner governance is done. People are shortchanged. In the North, we feel embarrassed. We feel that the Northwest that gave the president the green card to presidential villa is worse off today. Is not even a beneficiary. The Northeast, where you have the vice president, is being kept in the cooler.
Wait, what's cooler? Like,
Yes,
we see him as a vice president of Nigeria.
oh, the vice president of Nigeria.
Do you feel that some
No, the vice president of Nigeria, Kashim Shettima. The North, I'm telling you, the general feeling of the people of the North is that the vice president is being kept in the cooler. He is not being made to function in the manner that Oshibajo did when Buhari was in power. There was never a time President Bola Tinubu handed over power to him whenever he traveled, and but you can remember during the time of Buhari, Oshibajo was in charge. He changed the leadership of the EFCC. He changed a national security advisor. He did some, huge calls. But administration,
but at the latter end, yes, of that administration, the same former vice president Osibanjo was also believed to have been kept in the cooler.
But not to the extent that we see of Kashim Shettima today. Kashim Shettima was never given the opportunity to act when President Bola Tinubu.
You believe that was deliberate?
It is deliberate. What is there? And why do you need to see the son of the president going around and about giving people handouts, food handouts, and doing some aspects of the job that should be the call of the vice president? You get it? So we feel as Northerners not only shortchanged, but embarrassed. We feel that, the vice president is not being treated fairly by the government. And I'm a PDP person. But in terms of governance, from the North, the person we have as our own in the government today is the vice president. And he must be allowed to function in the same manner Oshibajo functioned. He is not just a spare tire. He cannot be. And once that continues to happen, it will also have a telling effect going forward in 2027.
I know that there is something called the Northern Governors Forum.
Mm-hmm.
What is that forum meant for?
It's just a forum.
Well, a forum that can all come together and give voice to the vice president, or perhaps chip in one or two words.
Well, the president,
in ways they believe that he may not have performed optimally.
Yeah, well, the Northern Governors Forum is a potpourri of PDP, APC.
Well, they are first.
This is their
Northern.
first, yes, they are first Northerners.
So their allegiance is to their brother.
Their
who is
allegiance.
also a northerner,
Yeah.
and then to Nigerians too.
Well, if they don't speak, I can't speak for them. But
Do you not also perceive that as betrayal?
no, not at all. I think probably they have other issues they are, they are looking at, and they didn't probably see this as as a reason. And in politics, a lot of things happen, my sister. Maybe some of them may even be eyeing that position. You get it? I am not saying they are, but in politics, I have seen enough from the days of me being a reporter to somebody who has gone into, if you like, part-time active participation, to know that today your friend in politics, tomorrow your foe. The next day he can be sitting next to you as your compatriot. So it is a game. Politics to me is a game of just your chance. Catch your chance as your chance can catch. So basically, there has to be, what am I saying? I'm saying that we as a people must give responsibility to subordinates, must ensure that if a governor has his deputy, that deputy has to be given a space to operate. If a president has a deputy or a vice president, that vice president must be seen to be performing government functions that are visible enough to give credence and credibility to his office. In that way, he feels not only that sense of belonging, but he feels being a part and parcel, of the leadership. That's all we are saying. We're not forcing the issues.
So at the moment, we can all just believe that the North is being spited by the current administration. Is that what it
The
is?
North is being treated unfairly. I don't know about despite, it may be a harsh word, but I believe the North is being treated unfairly. You go to you go to anywhere in the East and anywhere in the North and in the West. There is not one local government, not one ward under the in the hands of the, if you like, bandits or non-state actors. No. It cannot happen in the Southwest. It will not happen in the Southeast. It will not happen in the Niger Delta. Yes, you have groups that will go into the creeks that will threaten government and, ditto massive, even blow up pipelines. But to take over a whole local government, to decide who farms, who comes in, who gets out, to steal at will, to kill and maim and destroy with impunity, the North is being treated unfairly. The North has to be rescued by the government whose primary responsibility is to guarantee life and security of its citizens.
Apparently, the 2027 election may be best described as a rescue mission for the Northerners.
A rescue mission for the country and a rescue mission for the Northerners. A rescue mission for the country in terms of the failing and dwindling economic prosperity. 7.2 million businesses have closed in Nigeria under the watch of this government. Companies have moved out of Nigeria to our neighbors, to Ghana, in drones. People jackpot. If you have an opportunity, if you have a leadership that gives you inspiration, if you have a leadership that looks into the eye of the citizenry and is inspired by their travails, tribulations, their sufferings, their agony, and build on that to give them quality life, to create an environment that prosperity will foster. That is the kind of situation we want as a people.
The coalition is coming under what umbrella? Has there been a new party registered, or is a coalition coming under the PDP? Is it coming under the Labour Party? Where are we expecting?
All options are on the table. what we first want to do as a coalition is to first of all agree that we must come together so that we don't have a repeat performance of what happened in 2023. Aggregate our strengths, pool our resources, human, technical, and agree, most importantly, to work together to ensure that this government come 2027 does not come to power again.
So what kind of tickets are we
and the ticket, all options are on the table. Now the discussions are, first of all, for us to agree to work together. And I think that is firming up. Then the next stage will be to identify a political party or to register one. And in our own thinking, the attitude of the government probably may not even allow for a party to be registered. That's our thinking. We may be wrong. But then we must find a political party to work with. If it is PDP, fine. If it is, the
Labour
DP or Labour Party, fine. But definitely there will be a political party that the coalition will work with to achieve its aims and objectives and to get Nigeria out of the present state of misgovernance and the quagmire.
So the political parties on the table right now are the PDP, the SDP, or Labour Party.
I'm just making an example. Nobody, the leaders of this coalition movement are talking to each other. And then they will decide which party we will go.
Well, time is no longer our friend right now, but before we end this conversation, the former governor of Anambra State and the former presidential candidate of the Labour Party in 2023 presidential elections presence was quite conspicuous. And that left a lot of questions for many. Are we having a coalition ticket between an AA, an Atiku Abubakar, and a Peter Obi, or a Peter Obi and an Atiku? What exactly is the situation?
A bit of both. But then, it's more, to me, a factor of what, the founding fathers and the arrowheads of the coalition eventually decide.
And no trust deficit, given what happened in 2023 or not. So between the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi, there is no longer.
No, from the way, even in 2023, it wasn't much of a difference between Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi. No, it is so much a problem of deficit in the management of the process and the way some people are literally jumping, you jump the gun, right?
Yeah, jump the hill.
To want to be either a president or a vice president on their own terms and so on. And
Mr.
Peter Obi felt like is slighted, but the respect and the conversation and the understanding and the equanimity exists, I can tell you, between Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar. That has not been in any way hampered.
Well, I wish we can carry on with this conversation, but so far it's been really fruitful. I most sincerely thank you, Dr. Ladan Salihu, for your time with us. Of course, Mr. Dr. Ladan Salihu is the former Director General of the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria. He is also a former Chief of Staff to the present Bauchi State Governor and a political analyst, as well as the publicity secretary for the League of Northern Democrats. Always a pleasure having you, Joe.
Thank you, Chika. You've been doing an excellent job.
Thank you.
Very tough.
Thank you.
And I appreciate, the here to you and to your crew.
Thank you very much. Well, we'll come your way again in the next edition, and this time we will be looking at the the South and the Northern Forum. Well, this time around, the Southern Forum are saying that they will do everything within their powers to fight against the uprise or the coalition that may bring about a ticket for Atiku Abubakar. Well, that's another conversation you should be looking out for in our next podcast. I am Chikodinaka Dili. Remember that you can always be part of this conversation. All you need to do is like our page on Facebook, Instagram, as well as YouTube. Be a part of the conversation. Drop a comment, subscribe. It's at LJE Nigeria. Do have a lovely time. Bye bye.